What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to another watch list video. I'm going to try to keep this video pretty quick, as quick as I can, because I'm pretty tired right now. Very long day, but wow, what a day for the markets, right? The QQQ with a huge expectation breaker, back above the 50, through an area of resistance, through a second area of resistance, through the resistance of the 50-day, and just an overall expectation breaker, and just beautiful. And obviously your SPY doing exactly what we dreamed, but in 10x, right? Awesome breakout. This is insane, right? It gave you a super tight data risk off of whether it was XPXL, TQQQ, whatever, but gave a super tight data risk, and it's just gone from that spot, right? One entry day and it's gone. So maybe next few days could give something, but the big idea here for me now is do not chase stocks up, right? Most stocks are up a few days in a row, whether it's 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, some even 6 days up in a row. I will not be chasing that. Um, but I will say, like a name like HPE, like off the open today, right? Or even like Adele, right? You did get a gap up and it held, somewhat towards highs. But where will this name be in a few days? Like if it pulls back, is it going to stop people out that took this one today, buying it as a gap up? I watched HPE today kind of pull out of its, or push out of its base early today on a gap up, and I waited patiently. Right, you had the pre-market push, and then you got a super big dump in the first hour of the day. I waited for the washout. This is the one name I took today. Got a nice size position finally in this one, right on the washout. I saw this like little bounce here and I started to get position right there. So I got like I think a 50-50 or 50-55 average. So super nice intraday move, and they gave some of it back, but it's practically back there in the after. Although nice flat base breakout, it's out of the base. Let's see what it can do now. If it puts in a few inside days here and then pushes or builds a flag or just straight goes, that could even be possible too. I think this name looks awesome, but if it were to pull back, break today's lows and pull back in the base, I will be out of it. But either way, I think that was good today, not chasing a gap up, waiting for a washout. I think that's the best way to do it, right? I didn't feel like chasing the open, and I was pretty patient. It was like a breakout and then a retest of the pivot, right? Um, but like you look at Adele, like I brought up, right? In a few days of tightness or a pullback, and I am so ready to buy this name. It is at the top priority of my list, and I'm definitely ready. Right, there's been a great amount of setups in software over the last week, whether that's CrowdStrike, as a pull into the 50 higher low setup, and it's like 4, 5, 6 days up in a row, whatever. Right, obviously 4 days straight up, but a little bit of bounce off there, and 4 days straight up in a row. Right, Palo Alto, another one. You got a higher low setup. You kind of swept the bottom of the lows. Rallied back through, gave a higher low setup, and it looks awesome. This name's still building a nice range. Looks great. Snow, right? You had a super nice range, gave a nice wash out of the 20-day, and the next day was an open equal low fall through above the prior day high. There's another higher low setup, nice range break, and it's just been acting awesome since. We're seeing fall through. Net is even another one, right? You pull into the 20-day washout, prior high washout, and it held a beautiful candle, and then the next day you get like a nice little fall through, and then even more the next day. Earnings coming up. It's not on my list, but I mean, this thing is acting phenomenal. If you own this, great work, right? There's a ton of names that have been added to my list in the last 2 days, to my relative strength list and my overall list that I'll be paying attention to. So it's going to get very interesting here soon. I also just do want to add that my watch list, and I'll kind of bring some of these up now, can be compiled of a lot of names where they may not be buyable tomorrow, and obviously a continuation higher tomorrow. I will look to do absolutely nothing, right? I don't want to be chasing names, but I want to be looking for these names to pull back, get tight. A few inside days, day or two would be interesting for some of these, and that's what I'll be. Uh, but like I said, I don't see anything to do tomorrow if we're continuing higher. But I'll let if that is the case, I'll let what I have work. And if not, just watching for tightness, wash out my favorite names into areas that I'm watching, which I'll go over. But besides that, there's not really much for me to do in that aspect. But right, the environment's changed over the last few days, so I am definitely more open to trying long setups as long as the risk is tight and it's a really good daily setup. That's all that's important to me right now. But I got the environment on my back, and that's looking pretty good. Right, a lot of laggards are bouncing back to areas seen just a week ago. Like I'll throw up Standis, even though I know this report soon, but right, you're bouncing back to areas that you saw a week or two ago, and where prior support. Is that going to be resistance? Are we going to push through? This is maybe not the best example because this does have earnings tomorrow, but after the close. But either way, right, I don't want to be trading these laggards. These are not what I'm personally interested in, right? This is where I'm assuming sellers will step in if the market pulls back for a day or two, and maybe it could get ugly, maybe not, who knows, right? But I'm just going to avoid super beaten down names unless they change character on earnings and give us a gap up to work with, right? Like DRAM, obviously same thing, right? Same look. You kind of come up there, Kind of found resistance there a little bit towards the end of the day, but either way, we're at the 20-day, right at the prior support. EWI, obviously same thing as far as memory, right? Big support area. These names I'm just avoiding right now until we can get like kind of a character change in that group. I don't think we've seen that. WGMI kind of come to mind as well, right? Inside day, but you know, I don't know. I don't see too much. You had Hut not really do anything on earnings, kind of like super weak today. Same thing with Cypher when the market's absolutely ripping. So not my favorite look. These are not the groups I'm really looking for anything in. I'd rather focus on the relative strength, right? Breath was unreal today. Obviously, you're going to get that in a market that's absolutely ripping. But I think what would be important is keeping it on watch next few days if/when we pull back. Same thing with Pradeep's absolute monster day in Breath. The last 4 days, right? You had kind of a lackluster day in between there, which was not, you know, too bad, but you know, it's just been absolute monster moves and monster breath. So that's definitely super interesting, right? Going over the futures real quick. Your Kospi is getting a little bit of a gap up into that like mother bar high / the 20-day, maybe some overhead resistance. It's had a pretty big bounce, so maybe it needs to continue going sideways. I don't know. Not a gap up I'd chase. Obviously, I don't really own anything in the memory space at all, and none of it really is interesting to me, except for I will say STX is pretty interesting. You've been holding up the best out of like all of your memory names, and you got an inside week so far this week. It just had earnings, I think, like last week, but you do have like WDC and Sandisk tomorrow, so maybe that can chase them. But a few more days aside, sideways would make me definitely more interested in this name. But I mean, it's another one where it's like it's red today and the market's absolutely ripping, so it's just not my cup of tea right now. Crude oil absolutely destroyed today, down 6%. Obviously, you're getting a risk on market. Oil rolling over, whether that's Iran news or whatever. The price action is important, but I will say PBF looks completely fine, is doing nothing wrong. Dino looks awesome. DK looks great. Like they're digesting in perfect ways, and then even Velo looks great, but I just still not really any interest in this area for me. Maybe it could see some rotation or just continuation of the big trend it's made in the next few days if the market goes sideways or pulls back in any way. It's been super volatile, so we could get absolutely destroyed and lose a 50-day in an instance. Who knows? Nobody knows anything, but just super interesting charts there. Dollar not really doing anything, rolling over after a pretty weak bounce, and then nothing really much today. ES new all-time highs, absolute monster 4-day move, right? You got your Dow Jones, same thing, pushing right into new highs. Nice little breakout there. It looks great. The NQ, like I said about the QQQ, we're back above the 50-day, looking pretty healthy. Give us some digestion now. It doesn't mean we need it, but in order for me to get more position, I need to see digestion. I don't want to see straight up. That's not healthy. It's just showing extreme strength, but now we need to get healthy here, pull back sideways for a few days, and then maybe we can continue higher, right? I did see copper as well, was another one that had a nice breakout of that pivot area, which was super interesting. I think SCCO doesn't look too bad, but you know, you get a gap up. I don't know, I just don't see a spot to buy these names. I don't know. HBM, same thing. You kind of have to buy these kind of names on weakness possibly, but besides that, earnings, right? Palantir with a big gap up today, a name I'm watching for some sideways, some tightness, but it's in the right group and it's acting awesome on an earnings day. Looks great, right? 30% gap up on a great report. Wayfair, right? Random power earnings gap, right? This name is almost 6% per day. It's very liquid, so maybe it could be something I trade if it gives a good enough setup. But name I'm just going to continue to watch was a name that gapped up on earnings. Zebra, another one, big gap up on earnings. It's in the same group as Dell. HPE as far as your computer processing hardware. Good report. 26% gap up, but then you got like a cat, right, which gaps up in the 50-day and absolutely craps, right? There are a few other good names that didn't move much that reported, but they'll be on my radar the next few weeks, and you'll see them if they're set up enough, right? But tons of gap ups here in the after hours, right? QOYS software, big gap up to 183, right? It's off my chart. You can't even see the after. I said huge breakout here on earnings. In the after hours apps, good quarter, up 30%. Right, another one, big gap up, right, $12.40 all the way up here, right? If I throw on a 24-hour chart, you'll be able to see the move, right? Big move there, interesting. Right, software names continuing to dominate even in the after-hour session on earnings. ANET, huge gap up, 11% gap up on a good report out of the base. It's been out of the base for a day or two now, but even nice push in the after-hours. Compass, another one that's up, you know, all the way up to like almost $14 here. 12% gap up. AMD, right? Bad group, and you're down 8% on a great report, right? But the group's weak, and I mean, it doesn't surprise me. Who knows? Obviously, I'm not positioned in this one, so it's hindsight, but the group's weak either way, and these are not names I've been focusing on. So who knows? But definitely not nice to see that for your semis. SpaceX down 7%, and a ton more tomorrow that report and throughout the rest of the week, but specifically SanDisk and WDC report tomorrow after hours. So that'll be super interesting, right? Going over the ETFs, right? I talked about SPY, monster day, QQQ, huge day. Give us a few days tight on this. Obviously, we're back above the 50 and a few days tight on a bunch of individual names to go higher, or I can even buy a TQQQ. I threw this on the list, right? Give us a few days of tightness or pull into this big gap that we just made. And that's the spot where I'll be looking to buy a pullback or a few inside days, whatever. But build out here now after this big move up, and we got something going for sure. IWM, beautiful follow through, right? Super nice. RSP, super nice. It's nice to see these things break out and then follow through. That's the most important thing. And it's really good to see that, right? SMH back above the 20-day. So maybe you can get something going, but with AMD, I wouldn't be surprised. No, it's not really down that much, but either way, right, AVGL was nice today, right? There are some in this group that are acting phenomenal, right? It's right at a prior pivot, maybe another one where it kind of pulls in for a few days. Now that's finally back above the 50, and the group maybe improves a little bit. AMD doesn't get hammered too bad. Intel, you had the undercut for a week or two, or maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then you're pushing right back through that pivot. Interesting for sure. Not something I'm buying, but nice to keep a note on. A-Lab, another one, back through the 50, and I think this one reported in the after hours is pretty much flat at the open, so we'll see, but it's nice to see it back above the 50. It's held above the 200. It hasn't gotten hit as hard as some of the other ones, or at least this bounce back. It's definitely bounced back more than other things, so interesting stuff. I'm going to continue to keep on my list, but not anything I'm really trading right here in those groups. XLK, big gap up right out of that like descending base, whatever you want to call it, back above the 50. It's awesome. Obviously, biggest sector in your QQQ. IGV, absolutely unreal. We talked about Palantir. We got so many software names. Toast, Paycom, Zoom, IoT, QLYS is gapping up in the after hours, which is probably going to push it. Zeta has been acting awesome. NTAP, right, which is on my list. Give us a few days tightness, would look good. RNG, a recent power earnings gap, acting absolutely phenomenal. Gave like literal 2-day pullback, and it's already back to new highs. So super strong. MongoDB, another one, just software group acting awesome. HPQ acting absolutely awesome. FSLY, another one acting good. I don't know if this is exactly software, but whatever. But Sezzle, another one, right? You get tight on the 50, you push through, and then you get a follow through day after your breakout. So it's interesting. A few of these have earnings coming up, so we'll see. But they've already made their moves. Don't want to be buying these things after they already made their move. But then you look at like your Cyber, right? It's out of the base. Looks awesome. It gave you a spot right out the 50-day. I didn't get any of these names, unfortunately, although I should have. But these are definitely the names I regret. They were set up the best, 100%. But FT&T, you know, you get the earnings report, you gap and crap, but you're just building a nice little cup, like a mini cup. Give us the handle, a few days more tightness, like build out a higher low, and that's where I'll like to look to get positioned. RBRK, awesome today. Back through the 50-day, super nice move. Another one that could be building a base, could be getting ready to go with the rest of the group. Centennial One, I'm pretty sure is another software name, of course, but also cybersecurity. Awesome move. I think this is new 52-week highs, if I'm not mistaken. It is. So super, super nice there. Okta, another one. Nice push back through the pivot, although it was weak yesterday when the market was falling through. It's nice to see it waking up again today. ArcG doesn't look too bad. Right, you pulled a 50, super nice bounce, and a really nice push so far off that. You got XBI even, not a bad push right back through that pivot. It's kind of been super shaky here. I think Eli Lilly reports, I don't know if that'll affect too much. This report's in the morning, will be super interesting. TXG, inside day, but it's got earnings in 2 days. Not anything I'm looking to buy, but digesting perfectly. Looks like it's building a higher low and wants to continue higher. It's surfing the 10-day. And just still below, above that 50-day. And then I think B-Fly was another one I wrote down. Not a bad day today. Earnings is out of the way. Maybe a few days tight here, and maybe it could be something to take with small size. His name, a little sketchy, but I also threw GH on that list because you get an inside day today. You had the earnings gap up, kind of pulled back into the 5-day. Tight day. Is it trying to build a higher low? Maybe. Super nice looking weekly chart inside week so far, so looks pretty good to me. XLV, nice candle right off the 20-day, right? Eli Lilly's in the morning, so that will be important, but nice push in volume, above average volume right at the 20-day. Hammer candle, looks like it wants to maybe reverse here. XLF, awesome, beautiful. This thing is trending in such a nice way. You look at like Dave looks awesome. There's so many other names in this group as well. Mags, right at the resistance area, so maybe some stalling, few days of tightness I think would be great. Give us a higher low, right? You built a big higher low in a way where we had a big expectation breaker, so it was hard to get positions, but now give us that pullback, and that's where I'll be looking to buy these type of names. And maybe they're not all on my list. Google, right? Looks awesome. It's at the resistance though. I don't want to be buying up here. I'll pull back into the gap as a spot I'm watching. Amazon, same thing, right? It's not buyable here. It wasn't buyable today. It wasn't buyable yesterday. Maybe if you bought it on the earnings gap up, good. I'm not Chris Camillo, so I'm not going to be buying this thing before the earnings gap or before the earnings report. I would never do that, but a pull into the earnings close is a spot I'd watch. Super interesting. And I mean, even in Nvidia, you can throw on that list too, right? Super nice bounce the last 4 days. Get tight above the 50, you're back above the 50. Watch a pull into the support gap. That could be a spot. I don't know. As long as there's tight risks, it's worth taking because the environment has changed, right? DRAM. Obviously, I talked about STX weekly, which doesn't look too bad. And obviously, there's some big ER coming up. So going over my watches, talked about Amazon pullbacks is what I'm watching on this into the earnings close. Any lower than that, then I'll watch the earnings gap up. And we'll see. I'm just going to be watching this thing for a higher low anytime soon, and we'll see if we can get positioned off that CrowdStrike. You're back at the top of an area of supply, maybe a few more days tight or a higher low pullback, letting us know that it's healthy. But I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this thing is healthy. It's been acting healthy, so I wouldn't be surprised to see it just break out the new highs. But nonetheless, if I want to get positioned, it needs to pull back for a few days into a good spot, right? Which would probably be this prior high. Where I'll be watching for a pullback area. Hopefully it'll hold there, build a higher low over there. Who knows? Dell, number one name still, continuing to watch this one. But we'll see tomorrow if the people that chase this gap up are going to get rewarded and it's going to fall through, or if it's just going to go sideways and not break the low of day. Or if it does, I think that'd be great because I'll be looking to buy this name at the support gap as a higher low, right? Because you broke prior lows, you undercut and rallied it, but you made a big move up. Now we need the higher low, right? Now just keep building out the right side of the V. The right side of the V, like a good friend of mine said, can get very vicious. So few days tightness here, and I am ready to buy this name on a pullback. It's one of the number one names I'm paying attention to. Had a great earnings, big leader, super liquid. Definitely a name I want to continue to pay attention to. FTNT, a few days of sideways, build out the right side, continue building it out, looks great. GH over the prior day high, I'll watch. We'll see. Google, same thing, build out the right side, pull back into a support cap, pull back at all, get tight, pull back into 50 would be interesting. HP, I bought this one today. I don't see myself adding to this one just yet. If I get stopped out and it squats one more time or something, maybe I'll obviously get stopped out and maybe I'll look to enter this name on a squat, right? Because it's kind of been straight up here. So buying it today could be a little bit sketchy. You kind of get that Christmas tree candle where maybe it's the outside bar to reverse lower. I wouldn't be surprised, right? Don't want to get overexposed, want to use progressive exposure when I'm buying new stuff because the last few weeks have been horrible and we're finally changing character and the environment's getting a little bit better day by day. So we'll have to see. NTAP, another name here that looks awesome. It's been acting awesome. It's in the right group. Few days tightness now. It's been building out that right side, but and did offer a spot or two in here, which was great. But I would just like it to pull in just for a few days, for a week, and just get tight, build some a nice range over here, or just get tight and anyway, pull back in any way, and it'll be a name I'm watching. Maybe a pullback into this spot right here will be interesting. Palo Alto, same thing. Pull back, higher lows, what I'll be watching. Snow, same thing. Right? This is what I'm watching for all these pullbacks, higher lows, tight days is what I'll be looking for. And yeah, that's probably going to be about it for me. I've been making this video way too long, right? Want to be extra patient while we let things trade sideways and set up after these big moves, right? That would be very healthy and even more bullish than we've been. And for a sustained rally, right, we need pullbacks, we need digestion, and I'm just looking to get long. I'm not really looking to short anything because this market looks like a big short squeeze, right? The next few days will be very key. And important to keep an eye on relative strength and names that have been holding up the best and earnings gap ups, right? But I'm most likely not going to be buying anything that's up a few days in a row, of course. I'll just watch for some washout into some big areas. But like I said, I think some cool offs needed. Even if it doesn't happen, we continue straight up. And maybe it wouldn't be the healthiest and I wouldn't really be doing anything, but it'd be nice. So who knows? We'll see. I think the best case scenario though is we pull in for a few days, get tight, maybe get some sort of a pullback going, and then that's where I'll look to get position. But I appreciate you guys all for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.